Eric Mandel, the founder and director of the Middle East Political Information Network. And Eric, just as we're talking about here in studio, U.S. President Donald Trump is telling Hamas, don't waste time, agree to this deal, but also not giving a set deadline for how long these negotiations could last, a specific time frame. So what pressure is the United States exerting to make sure Hamas actually takes these negotiations seriously?
So the president should be commended for today that he said he wants things done fast, and he said 72 hours to get the hostages out or else. And the essence of the deal that has been created, a framework, not much details, is getting the hostages back first. Once, if that really happens, to get all the live and deceased hostages out, then you're dealing with a situation where Hamas has lost so much leverage. Having said that, Hamas's strategy is to delay and stretch out the negotiations. And I hope that I know that Dermer is aware of this, and Jared Kushner is, and hopefully Witkoff is. And the longer negotiations go on, the more Qatar can influence President Trump on Hamas's viewpoint. And yeah, there are 20 points here, but there are thousands of details that need to be filled in. The big question is going to be when that significant, decisive moments come up, disarming Hamas. Will the president stand strongly with Israel, as he has, or will he start siding more with Qatar, that is going to be a backer of Hamas's demands? Now, I would advise the president to remember his own words back in 2017 when he said that Qatar is a funder of terrorism with an extremist jihadist ideology. For Israel, what I would say, because I believe the strength of the U.S.-Israel relationship is based upon Israel being perceived as a strong player in the Middle East, I would tell them to hope for the best, but prepare for every contingency and prepare for the worst, especially if Israel acts defensively like it does in Lebanon when Hamas, whether coordinated or rogue guerrilla actors come out, PIJ or who knows who, and there are civilian deaths, that Israel is going to, definitely get the ire of President Trump going down the road. The other big question is about this whole thing about offensive and defensive weapons, and who's going to disarm the, Hamas, and what about this PA force that's been trained in Egypt? We've heard that that Bibi doesn't want there to be a PA in Gaza, but this force was drawn from Fatah and PA Authority, Palestinian Authority police and security people, 5,000 to 10,000 that are being trained that are supposed to go in. So I think we're in a position right now. Get the hostages out, take away Hamas's leverage, and hopefully the president will continue listening to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Eric, what about the significance of Special Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner both heading to Egypt for these talks? A lot of people speculating Jared Kushner possibly even has a conflict of interest, although he has a good track record here in the Middle East. But just what you were hinting at, Qatar may be swaying the United States when it comes to these talks. How could these two American leaders help push those talks, or on the flip side, take away from them?
Well, I think the point is the president believes in loyalty. He trusts Witkoff. He trusts Jared Kushner, and Kushner should have been given the Nobel Prize for the Abraham Accords. Who we don't see here is Marco Rubio. He's been sidelined here, the Secretary of State. So these are people that the president trusts. The president has put his own prestige on the line here, that he is going to be the CEO of making sure this all works, with his sub-CEO probably being Tony Blair. And we will see how this goes forward. But remember, the president wants a stable Middle East so there can be business relationships going on that can profit the United States. But the president has to realize who Qatar is in this big process and what he has given them, which is, I think, a little too much, especially with the recent security guarantee. And also, the president may quietly start talking to the Al-Thanis, the emir, about Al Jazeera still influencing every single day hundreds of millions of people in anti-American incitement.
Eric Mandel, valuable insight with us, as always, right here on I-24 News. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Pleasure.